وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُّدَّكِرٍ.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the new short video tutorial of Madinah Arabic. We will start lesson 8 of book 1 today. So this will be part 1 of lesson 8. Let's start with the new concepts of the lesson. We already know how to say this is a book, right? How do we say it in Arabic? هذا كتاب. This is a book. هذا كتاب. This is a very simple ismiya sentence that we all are familiar with. Here هذا is the mubtada and kitabun is the khabar. As we talked about in our last video, the mubtada هذا is the ma'rifa ism here and the khabar kitabun is nakira. Now we will learn how to say this book. In Arabic, this book is هذا الكتاب. هذا الكتاب. So هذا كتاب is this is a book, and هذا الكتاب is translated as this book, where both هذا and الكتاب are ma'rifah. Note that this book is not a sentence. If you say هذا الكتاب, the person you are talking to will be waiting for you to complete the sentence with the appropriate khabar. To complete the sentence, we can say, for example, هذا الكتاب جديد. This book is new. هذا الكتاب جديد. So here, هذا is the mubtada of the sentence, and the nakira ism جديد is the khabar. Then what would be the ma'rifa ism al-kitabu in the middle? This is the new concept of the lesson. We call this word BADAL, written as badalun, which can be translated to English as a substitute word. What is it a substitute for? In this sentence, al-kitabu is coming as a substitute word for hada. In other words, these two words, hada and al-kitabu, are grammatically parallel words. That is because we can split this sentence into two and write hada jadidun, al-kitabu jadidun. You see, here in these two sentences, both hada and al-kitabu can come as mubtada of the sentence. But when we combine them into one sentence and say هذا الكتاب جديد, we cannot call both هذا and al-kitabu to be mubtada. It is like first come, first serve. Only the first one will get to play the role of mubtada. The second one will be badal to the first one. That is why we are calling al-kitabu to be badal for هذا here in this sentence. And if we remove هذا, then al-kitabu will take its place and become the mubtada. We will see a lot of examples for badal shortly. Before we do that, let me introduce you to another new concept of the lesson. Let's take a look at these words. America, America. Inglaterra, England. Almania, Germany. And the name Zakaria. What do you think is common in these words? You may be saying that they are new words, which is correct. They are new, and we will start using them from now on, inshallah. And what else do you think is common? It is something to do with the word ending. If you notice, they are all ending with alif. So we are elongating the last a sound, right? Like America or Zakaria. You may not be aware of this, but sometimes the letter ya can play the role of alif at the end of the words. For example, the names Musa, Isa, and Yahya. Also, al-mustashfa, which means the hospital. And al-fata, which means the young man. Can you repeat after me? Musa, Isa, Yahya, al-mustashfa, al-fata. Do you see all these words end with ya? But we are treating this letter as alif here. Such a letter ya playing the role of alif is referred as AL-ALIF AL-MAQSUWROH. They come at the end of the words and written without the double dots below the letter ya, plus the vowel sound before it is fatha. Now, these are all ism type words, and if I say they all are currently in marfu' case, would you believe it? Well, you should, because they are in fact marfu'. And by the fact that these words are not ending with dhamma or tanween dhamma in marfu' case, we can tell they are not acting like regular isms such as al-kitabu or hamidun. And here's a new rule for us. all these words with elongated a ending will stay the same even in mansub or majrur cases. For example, they do not change their ending to kasra in majrur case. So we say هذا لزكريا. This belongs to Zakaria. So here لزكريا is a jar majrur phrase. In other words, Zakaria is majrur. But look at its ending. It didn't change. That is because we cannot say لزكريا here. It is not possible to change such long a ending. Another example is ذهب موسى إلى عيسى. Musa went to Isa. You see here the long a ending of Isa does not change to kasra even if it's coming after harf jar ila. Or another example, هو من أمريكا. Again, أمريكا remains as أمريكا even in majrur case. This behavior may remind you of mabni ism. They indeed act like mabni ism, but technically they are not mabni words. The main reason why these words do not take kasra in majrur case is because long a sound cannot change to kasra. It is something to do with phonetics. Because if you add kasra after fatha, it would sound like ya, as in al-maniyai or al-fatai, which doesn't sound right. On the other hand, mabni ism is not limited to such ending. For example, from the mabni words we learned, the ismul istifham man, who, does not end with alif. But it is still mabni. That is why we say sayyaratu man hadhihi. Whose car is this? This is all we need to remember at this point. Inshallah, in book 3, we will learn more about such words and we will talk more about subtle differences between these ism and mabni ism. For the time being, you can think of them behaving like mabni even though they're not. Okay, we are ready to see some examples now. Let's open page 43 of the book and go over the exercise 2 of the lesson first. We need to read the sentences with proper vowel sounds. And as always, I suggest you practice writing them if you can. هذا الولد خالد وذلك الولد محمد. We can translate this as this boy is Khalid and that boy is Muhammad. These are two ismiya sentences joined by harfu atf wa. هذا is the mubtada of the first sentence, Khalidun is the khabar, and al-waladu is badal for هذا. In the second sentence, ذلك is the mubtada, al-waladu is badal, or substitute for ذلك, and Muhammadun is the khabar. Sentence number 2. هذا الرجل مدرس وذلك الرجل مهندس. This man is a teacher and that man is an engineer. Can you try to analyze these two sentences on your own? هذا is the mubtada, الرجل is the badal, and مدرس is the khabar. And ذلك is the mubtada of the second sentence, الرجل is badal for ذلك, and مهندس is the khabar. Sentence 3. هذا الكتاب جديد وذلك الكتاب قديم. How would you translate these sentences? This book is new and that book is old. I hope you got it right. Now, can you identify the badal ism here? Al-kitabu. Very good. Sentence number 4. هذه السيارة لعلي وتلك لخالد. This car belongs to Ali and that belongs to Khalid. Where is the badal in the first sentence? As-sayyaratu. Very good. As-sayyaratu is badal for هذه. Notice we are using هذه, mu'annath ismul ishara now, because we are referring to as-sayyaratu, which is mu'annath. And the jar majrur li'aliyin is shibhu jumla type khabar. In the second sentence, tilka is the mubtada and li Khalidin is the khabar shibhu jumla. Sentence number 5. هذا الباب مفتوح وذلك الباب مغلق. This door is open and that door is closed. Which word is badal in the first sentence? Al-babu, right? It is badal or substitute word for هذا. And in the second sentence, again al-babu is coming as badal. This time it is badal for the ismul ishara ذلك. Sentence number 6. لمن هذه الساعة؟ هي لعباس. Whose is this watch? It belongs to Abbas. Here in the question, الساعة is coming as badal for هذه. The response is a simple جملة اسمية with مبتدأ and خبر شبه جملة. Sentence number 7. أهذا البيت للطبيب؟ لا، هو للمدرس. Does this house belong to the doctor? No, it belongs to the teacher. In the question, البيت is the badal for هذا. In the response, هو is the مبتدأ and جار مجرور للمدرس is شبه جملة type خبر. Sentence 8. أهذه الدراجة لابن المؤذن؟ نعم. Does this bicycle belong to the son of Mu'adhin? Yes. Can you identify the badal in the question? It is الدراجة, right? الدراجة is coming as badal for هذه here. Sentence number 9. من هذا الولد؟ هو طبيب من الصين. What would be the translation of these sentences? من هذا الولد means who is this boy? Here الولد is coming as badal for هذا. And هو طالب من الصين means he's a student from China. The ضمير هو is the مبتدا and طالب is the خبر and من الصين is جار مجرور here. Sentence 10. أذلك البيت جديد؟ لا، هو قديم جدا. The question is that house new? And the response is no, it is very old. Remember from lesson 6, the word جدا means very. So قديم جدا means very old. Now, can you find the badal in these sentences? البيت, right? What is it badal for? It is badal for ذلك. Very good. Let's see the next sentence. هذه السيارة من اليابان وتلك من أمريكا. We can translate this sentence as this car is from Japan and that is from America. Here we have two ismiya sentences. The first one is هذه السيارة من اليابان. The مبتدا is هذه, السيارة is its بدل, جار مجرور من اليابان is the خبر شبه جملة. The second sentence is تلك من أمريكا. تلك is the مبتدا and جار مجرور من أمريكا is the خبر شبه جملة. As we learned earlier in the video, the ism أمريكا is coming as مجرور here, but it cannot take kasra ending because of its ending with alif. And the final sentence of the exercise is also similar in structure. هذا السكين من ألمانيا وتلك الملعقة من إنجلترا. Here هذا is the مبتدا, من ألمانيا is خبر شبه جملة, السكين is the badal for هذا in the first sentence. In the second sentence, تلك is the مبتدا, الملعقة is its badal, and من إنجلترا is the شبه جملة type خبر. Notice both country names Almania and Inkaltara are coming as majrur here, but because they both end with alif or elongated a sound, they cannot take kasra even in majrur state. Okay, that was the end of exercise 2. Let's continue with the next exercise, which is exercise 3 on pages 43 and 44. We need to read the example sentences given and come up with similar sentences in what follows. Mithalun here means an example. The first sentence of the mithal is هذا كتاب, which is a simple mubtada khabar type jumla ismiya. The translation is this is a book. The second example is more interesting. هذا الكتاب لمحمد. Now we have mubtada, badal and khabar shibhu jumla. So al-kitabu in the second sentence is not khabar. It is functioning as badal for هذا. For the remainder of the exercise, we should construct similar sentences involving badal. In part 1 of the exercise, our simple ismiya sentence is هذا طبيب. This is a doctor. And on the left, we are given a khabar which is min al-Hindi, from India. We should now say this doctor is from India. So what would be our sentence? هذا الطبيب من الهند. This doctor is from India. Again, هذا طبيب was this is a doctor, And هذا الطبيب من الهند translates as this doctor is from India. هذا is the مبتدا, الطبيب is its بدل, and من الهند is the خبر شبه جملة. Part 2. هذه سيارة. This is a car. And on the left we have للمدير, belongs to the principal. We want to say this car belongs to the principal. What should we put in the blank then? We should put هذه السيارة. So the sentence will be هذه السيارة للمدير. This car belongs to the principal. In the second sentence, هذه is the مبتدا, السيارة is its بدل, and للمدير is the خبر شبه جملة. Part 3. Our simple sentence now is ذلك ولد. That is a boy. Now we want to say that boy, which will be ذلك الولد ابن المدرس. That boy is the son of the teacher. ذلك الولد ابن المدرس. What do you think are the مبتدا and خبر of the second sentence? ذلك is the مبتدا, right? And the خبر is the اسم ابن, وهو مضاف, والمدرس is the مضاف إليه. And the اسم الولد is the بدل for ذلك. Very good. Part 4. تلك ساعة. That is a watch. Now we want to start the next sentence with that watch, which is تلك الساعة. So together, تلك الساعة من سويسرا. That watch is from Switzerland. تلك is the مبتدا, الساعة is the بدل for تلك. And من سويسرا is the خبر شبه جملة. Switzerland, Switzerland is a new word, and it is also ending with alif, so its end stays fixed as we see here even in majrur case. Part 5. هذا بيت. This is a house. Now we should say this house. How do we say it? هذا البيت. So our sentence is هذا البيت للمهندس. This house belongs to the engineer. هذا is the مبتدا, للمهندس is the خبر شبه جملة, and البيت is بدل for هذا. Part 6. هذا قلم. This is a pen. And the خبر of the next sentence is لعباس, belongs to Abbas. We are going to write هذا القلم in the blank, and together we have هذا القلم لعباس. This pen belongs to Abbas. القلم is the بدل to the مبتدا هذا here. If you notice in all examples, badal is coming as badal or as a substitute word for the mubtada of the sentence. But I want to let you know that badal is not really limited to be substitute for mubtada only. It can be badal to khabar of the sentence or fa'il or many other parts of the sentence. So do not think that badal has to be only associated with mubtada. Insha'Allah, we will later see many more examples of badal coming with other parts of the sentence. For the time being, we will keep the focus on badals coming with the mubtada only. Part 7. ذلك رجل. That is a man. The next sentence will be ذلك الرجل مؤذن. That man is a mu'adhin. ذلك is the mubtada, الرجل is the badal for ذلك. And مؤذن is the khabar mufrad or a single word khabar. Part 8. هذه بيضة. This is an egg. The next sentence then should start with هذه البيضة. So together we have هذه البيضة كبيرة. This egg is big. Notice the khabar كبيرة is coming as mu'annath here because the mubtada هذه is mu'annath. هذه is mu'annath because we are pointing at البيضة, which is a mu'annath ism. Part 9. هذا منديل. This is a handkerchief. Our next sentence will then be هذا المنديل وسخ. This handkerchief is dirty. And the final part. هذه حقيبة. This is a bag. We are using للمدرس for the khabar of the second sentence. So we should say this bag belongs to the teacher. How do you say it? It should be هذه الحقيبة للمدرس. Here هذه is the mubtada and الحقيبة is the badal and للمدرس is the khabar shibhu jumla. We are finished with this exercise and I hope that you are starting to feel better about the badal business by now. The main thing is that you should try not to confuse the badal with the khabar. As you saw in these examples, when the khabar is a single word, it is typically nakirah. But badal for ismul ishara words are coming as ma'rifah. So if the ism coming right after ismul ishara is ma'rifah, it is most likely the badal. Okay, before we finish up this video, let's jump over to exercise 5 on page 45. It is a small exercise. All we need to do here is observe how the special ism words ending with alif take the majrur case. The first row in these examples is about al-baytu, a regular ism ending with dhamma. After harf jar, this ism will get kasra ending and become al-bayti, which is the normal or typical behavior. For example, fil bayti, min al-bayti, and ila al-bayti. And next comes al-mustashfa, an ism that ends with al-AL-ALIF AL-MAQSUWROH. So we elongate the last a sound a little and say mustashfa. And because of this special ending, we observe that this ism cannot change its end even when it comes as ism majrur after harf jar, as in fil mustashfa, min al-mustashfa, ila al-mustashfa. The next two ism words, America and Almania, are the country names, and they also end with alif, and the vowel before it is fatha. Therefore, these ism words are also fixed in all cases. Even after harf jar, they stay the same. With America, for example, we see the jar majrur phrases fi America, min America, and ila America. And with Almania, we have fi Almania, min Almania, and ila Almania. Note that both of the words Almania and America start with alif, with hamzatul qat'i on top. That is indicated by this sign. Do not confuse them with the hamzatul wasl that we talked about before, which we can skip when connecting to preceding word. When we see the hamzatul qat'i with this sign, we have to pronounce it even when connecting it to another word coming before it. For example, we cannot say fil mania. We have to pronounce the a sound and say fi almania or ila almania. Hamzatul qat'i, by the way, is idafa combination and literally means the hamza of cutting or interrupting, as we are doing so when saying ila almania. You see, we are cutting the a sound right in between ila and almania. Ila almania. That is why it is called hamzatul qat'i. Okay, I think we learned enough for today. Insha'Allah, we will start from the beginning of the lesson in the next video. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.